So what's going on?
How you guys doing? Appreciate it. Mark, how you doing, bud?
What's up, Zo?
Okay, hey, I heard the caller earlier about the broadcast, and I saw it last night on social media too. I think here's what we're trying to do with the broadcast. I am not a play-by-play guy. When the team approached all of us, me the McCourties, Paul, and Brian Hoyer, the problem is these preseason games over the years have gotten away. I mean, it is a cluster bleep. And by halftime, you kind of lose the game. And having a real play-by-play guy and quiet commentary, you kind of lose, I don't want to say viewers, but you lose interest in the second half. And I love working with Bob. I was leery about it because I didn't want to really break away from Bob because, we need reps too before the year. I'm not the play-by-play guy. Bob does it. I have a different appreciation for his preparation here. So what we try to do is not like a Manny cast, but more of we all were at practice. Devin and Jason go to the walkthroughs. We see the team, we know the team, and we're just trying to talk about the team because there's such an influx of players and change, and it's not a real game. In 3 years, these games are going to probably go away. The third preseason game is a throwaway. So we're just trying to do something different just to keep the broadcast going. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I'll be better with it next week. I could identify yard line, maybe a bigger play, or Carolina had 32 starters out last night.
Yep.
So you talk about knowing the team. Yeah, I wouldn't know there are 32 starters to begin with because they're a bad team.
Yeah.
But we got the Eagles in next week. Starters will play longer. And I think it'll be a little more different next week. And then Mike Tirico's got the call for the third one. That'll be a national game. So I'll be back with Bob on radio for the Commanders game. But it's something different. And, we got to adapt with preseason football because the product is not good.
I'll tell you what, though, it does make a difference in the second half when there's nobody playing. Like to kind of have the juice that you guys had and make it interesting and entertaining, I thought was a difference maker in that product.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like third quarter, fourth quarter preseason from past years, I'm basically falling asleep. And Mark, you're right. Like we, as the broadcasters through our meetings, we expected Drake to go longer. I thought he was going to go at least into halftime and into the third quarter. Here's what happened. I think they set this plan in place, and I think they were petrified of potentially what the offensive line could look like in front of him. And he looked a little nervous before the game. There's a lot of pressure on this kid. He's 21. He knows what the deal is. You're the third pick. Expectations are huge. You're tied to this organization, and you've got to be good. They took him out after, 3-4 plays? And we were kind of shocked that Zappe went in there, and he was the guy. Not that he went in there, but he proceeded to get, 7 drives?
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, he came out for that second half. Now, Zappe's done all the right things. He's the only carryover guy from last year. What I noticed last night, if I was doing a color on the radio, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. He changed a couple plays at the line. He reset a couple guys, changed protection. It seemed like he had more on his plate than the other guys did. And maybe that's what Van Pelt gave him. And maybe he adapted to the offense better. But he hasn't had a lot of reps in camp. And Milton hasn't had either. But I thought both those guys, and Milton obviously popped last night. He looked great.
Okay, so based on that, Zoe, I just want to know, over the years, you just alluded to it, the way the preseason has trended in a downward direction. Yeah. Are we overblowing the fact that Drake Maye didn't see more snaps? Because based on what I'm hearing or what it feels like, it's really hard to make a good evaluation in this type of preseason game with how much of a mess it is.
Yeah, I think this is what happened. Like, I'm there at practice. I watch it. It doesn't look great on the edge. The tackles, they're all over the place. They really don't have a backup center now. You take David Andrews out of there, and he's not in there with them. Things could go awry pretty quickly. I don't think they thought that the line was going to play as well as they did last night. The core four had the bad false start, but other than that, they were okay. They were pretty good. I thought Bedard was good on our postgame. I heard him driving home late last night. 50-some plus starts with that second line that was in there. Like, they had some guys that played some ball. But Darian Lowe, he's moved around. He's stuck around. A lot of people don't like him because of the problems here in the past, but he's had a pretty good camp. And, I talked to all these guys. We had the quarterbacks in, for production and stuff. And, I expected the Jacoby play a series and then Drake to get in there and go for a while.
Okay, so then based on that, I just want to follow up with this, T-Mac.
Yeah.
When does the development happen most, though? Because you're a perfect person to ask this question to.
Yeah.
I know you didn't play in training camp must have been so different when you were taking part in it. But when does that development that we're all waiting for Drake Maye to make happen? Practice during a regular season when you're the backup, in the off season, training camp, film room. When is it going to happen?
It's really live team periods, like the 11-on-11 blitz periods. I think he's going to get a ton of reps against the Eagles on Tuesday. I would put him in there a lot, and he's going to get more. May already said that for next Thursday's game, which is going to be good. And then they really shut it down for the third, and we're not going to see him at all. Jacoby's going to be the starter. He deserves it. He has settled that room down. He's very comfortable. Here's what I'm going to give you real quick on Milton, and I know people are going to be gung-ho on Milton. We sat with him the other day, and he said, being at Michigan and being at Tennessee, he has not called a play in a huddle since he was 17 years old until now with the pros. So for everybody that wants him to play, imagine getting in there game one, Cincinnati, the bleep's hitting the fan. You got nickel, you got blitzes. He's dealing with play clock, and you got to get the call out. And I don't know if you heard Brian Hoyer last night describe what just the screen call was called in a West Coast offense. All that verbiage that they got to spit out and get out, and function and game plan against him. He's a project type guy, but he's so athletic. He's huge, and he's got a lot of power in him.
Zoe, what did you make of the job that Drake Maye did and the coaching staff as a whole, including Alex Van Pelt?
I mean, couple hiccups with some penalties, but special teams are going to be better. The kickoff, they're mostly ended up around the 20-25, which is sort of going to be the norm. But I think it's somewhat of an exciting play. You got two sets of 10 guys 10 yards apart blocking each other. It's almost like hand-to-hand combat in Braveheart. And if you got Marcus Jones, back there, he could be a weapon for you because this team's going to have to win the way they play defense. Their defense was good last night. They're going to have to play good defense, run the football. They're going to run the hell out of it. And sorry, Dondero, it's going to be boring old offense, and that's how you're going to have to win games until they turn this thing around.
Can I just real quick go back to the quarterbacks? Because obviously you just said it, Zoe. Jacoby Brissett's going to play. Drake Maye, number 3 overall pick. They're getting him ready. He's developing. Milton looks good last night. Zappy played a lot. He's probably Zappy, your second best quarterback right now on the roster, I guess. Are they? Is it possible they keep 4 quarterbacks, or is that ridiculous?
I think it's on the table. I mean, you go back to the Brady year. They kept 4 Brady's rookie year. He was a 6th-round pick, right? And I know there's some of the comparison 6th-round picks. You may worry about losing Joe if you release it. Because if you're thinking of sliding him to the practice squad, you got to cut him. He's got to clear waivers. Then you slide him. Someone might jump on him. Like Baltimore picked up Cunningham last year, and they eventually moved him back to receiver. And Cunningham was fun to watch in the preseason. You're going to get these type of guys in the third and fourth quarter because it's bedlam. Get out there. Joe did a great job moving around, making plays. He was calm. He looks like Cam Newton. He's that big.
Zoe, what did you think of the rookie receivers and Kayshon Boutte's night as well?
Boutte's interesting because he's sort of there at the 5th, 6th, 7th guy, and he made that play in Green Bay last year, caught the slant for the touchdown. He made some plays in practice this week with Dre, and he's starting to come on. I think Polk catches the ball. He's got good, strong hands. I thought Baker's route running wasn't that great last night. He kind of rounded an in-cut. But, he's got that double move. And I just think that they're going to have young guys here. We're going to see Osborne a little bit more. And when KB gets back, this Ayuk thing is not happening. KB's probably going to be your number 1 guy eventually when he's healthy.
So where do you go from here in terms of preparing for the next preseason game? Is it all about Drake Maye? Does he take front? Is he front and center as we go through joint practices next week and then into the Eagles matchup?
Yeah, see, here's what's interesting is when we would go away for joints or host for joints, there would be 2 or 3 days, and like Tom or Mac would get all those reps, right? And then they would play less in the game because you could sort of structure your practices and protect the guy a little bit, but still simulate game situations. I'll be able to answer that more, I think, after Tuesday's practice when we're down there to see how much he gets against the Eagles. But like May already said, he's going to play more next week. So I think after this game, they came out and said, we may have missed an opportunity to let him go a little longer there.
While we have Zoe on the line, I just want to ask him, and I know you're not watching every SEC football game, Zoe. You got your own stuff. You're dealing with the Patriots and all the things that you do every fall. But I'm trying to figure out the major differences between Joe Milton and Anthony Richardson, because you're talking about a 6th-round pick and a 1st-round pick. And, Richardson has all the physical tools. Milton has physical tools. The completion percentage in college actually edged Joe Milton. What's the big based on what you know about the players, what do you think the big gaping difference is?
If my recall on Florida football is good, I think he started as a true freshman a couple games, and they took it from there, did Richardson. Remember, Joe was at Michigan and then transferred to Tennessee. So he's played at two good programs. I mean, it's not that much. It's timing. It's where you're drafted and how the teams view you. Like, Drake's a number 3 pick. Joe's a 6th-round pick. You know how that goes. You're married to Drake Maye now. Like what Ernie Adams said on that Edelman podcast, like when you draft a guy that high, like, he's your organization, and they got to get him ready here at some point, to your point.
They have to get him ready, but if this guy is good enough, you can't just ignore him. It'll be interesting.
He's physically gifted to throw him out there with a bunch of 2s and 3s and 4s, guys that probably aren't going to be playing football, the 3s and 4s, in about 2 weeks here, to go out there and make plays. We know that because you watch him and he's that gifted. It's, can he function, that whole thing that drives you nuts, the whole process of being pro ready and, handling a play sheet, play calls, scouting reports. You're going to get into defenses here, like against the Jets. You don't think the Jets are going to push that pocket and keep him in the pocket and not let him get outside? Say it was Milton. Sal's going to bring that front, try and put that pressure on him. And then you got lock-up corners on the outside. That's what you got to kind of forecast and look ahead. He's fun to watch now, just like Malik Cunningham was.
All right, Zoe. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling in.
One more for Zoe before he goes. Hey, Zoe, what do you have to say to all the kids who are upset that summer's over and they're going to be heading back to school?
It's the best time of year, kids. Get your asses back to school. GTFO, out of the house. I might go to Target. I guess you got to go to that haunted hotel this weekend. I got a wedding up north. Ooh. And then when I get back, I'm going to Target to start stocking up for school. Best time of year.
All right. You know what? We'll ask Dondero about his thoughts on ghost sex coming up here in a later segment. So appreciate you calling in.
Ghost pegging. Remember.
Yes. All right, so thanks for it. Appreciate it.
See you guys. See you.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.